And he had this old Ford Mustang. I don't know what year it was. It was an old one, faded paint. It was a rag top. I remember the top being all, just. And he opened the trunk up and he's smoking on the cigar and he throws the shotgun and he tells who is going to become the guy that was eventually murdered, who's going to become the new Hells Angel president of Los Angeles. He goes, "You go with me." And
Why'd he pick him?
I don't know. I'll tell you another thing John used to tell me, and that will make a lot of sense to you. I didn't ask John because John told me one time, because you want to last in this business, quit asking questions.
There you go.
I said, okay, man.
Fair enough.
And so I didn't ask questions, but I did confront him. I said, "Hey, John, don't you think it'd be better to let them brew on the fight and they'll wonder what's going to be next, and then we can petition, for a sit down?"
Because John's idea was just go.
John
go
just
take
balls
it
out,
to him.
and he told me.
and-
You know what he told me?
What?
"New guy, get your ass in the clubhouse." And I went back in the clubhouse, and he took off with Ray, and Jesse and I were in the clubhouse. Jesse, was the guy with the motor sprocket. We just sat in there all night, waiting for John. And then John, we see the headlights roll in the driveway, and he had resolved it. But, I felt, and I respectfully told him alone, I never questioned him in front of anybody. I said, "Man, I think it would have been smarter from a military standpoint to wait and let them brew on what was going to come next and then petition them." John didn't care. John didn't care about anything. All John cared about was us. We were his family. And, he was a real old school guy. He'd tell you, one time he took me to a fight with another bike club. I didn't even know, you didn't ask back then what we were doing. He told me to get on my bike. "Get on your bike, Christie." And me, Jesse, and a couple other guys, we got on our bikes, and we went over to this other motorcycle club's clubhouse, and John asked for somebody, and the guy came up. John clocked him, knocked him, just incredible power. Knocked the guy down, and he just, "Don't ever disrespect me again," and got on the bikes, and we rode off. That's the kind of shit that John would do.
Right.
And I said, "John, what are we gonna do now?" And a couple of weeks later, I don't know I hope, and I've never really reflected on it until now, I just had this epiphany. I hope what I said to him didn't cause him to step down, because that's, I respected him, wholeheartedly, and I was just giving him some input in what I thought. He stepped down, Ray took over. Within 2 weeks, there was a machine gunnings on the freeway. 2 Mongols got killed. Jingles and Redbeard were machine gunned off their bikes. The frame-up motorcycle shop, tire stuffed with dynamite was taken there. It detonated, killed 2 guys. It's just got brutal real quick. Can you imagine shooting machine guns in downtown L.A. and bombing businesses in downtown L.A.?
And I think there's probably this misconception, to the citizens. I think there's this misconception that the reason why these, I know there's that thing that happened in Laughlin, or
Right.
there's that these wars are over because these are, criminal enterprises.
No.
They're fighting over turf because they want to run guns or something. This
It's
is
egos,
literally one guy was sleeping with another guy's ex-wife.
We talked about the Outlaws earlier. You know what that fight was about?
What'd that start?
Grease Lightning, who was an outlaw, and Sandy Alexander, who was leader of the Hells Angels in New York City, formerly both members of the Alien Motorcycle Club. They were brothers at one time. Grease Lightning came to visit Sandy. He wasn't there. Colette, Sandy's wife, said he raped her, and Sandy was a professional boxer. Grease Lightning shows back up in New York. Sandy beats him up. He goes back to the Outlaws and said, "I got jumped by the whole charter," because he got beat so bad. Sandy just really put it on. Well, he's a boxer, professional boxer. So 2 members from the East Coast go down to Florida to get an ex-member to cover his tattoo, who's down there selling narcotics and posing as a Hells Angel. That's another whole story we could talk about. They go down there. While they're down there, the Outlaws hear they're in town, and they invite them to the clubhouse. They are told by Sandy, don't go to the clubhouse. Well, they go to the clubhouse, and one of the leaders decides they're going to take retribution for Grease Lightning, and they take them down to the rock quarry and shoot them both in the back of the head, and the Hells Angel, ex-Hells Angel, who was still impersonating the Hells Angels, take them down to the rock quarry, chain them up, throw them in there, and then a few weeks later, one of the guys' club name was Riverboat, and started kind of like a little legend within the club that Riverboat came to the surface.
Wow.
And he came to the surface, and we had been calling the Outlaws, hey, what happened to these guys? And they said, we don't know, man. They were here and they left. We knew they were at their clubhouse because Sandy had talked to them and told them not to go. That fight was over a woman. You know? So we've got two conflicts that are still ongoing to this day.
Wow.
And they're both about egos and hurt feelings and whatnot. It's not about territory. Right. People that are selling narcotics in somebody else's territory, you're not going to know they're there. You're going to come in under the stealth of darkness or whatever it may be, sell their wares, and get the hell out.
Right. Right.
It's usually
They're
about
not doing it a bit brazenly in public or asking for a fight.
You want to, that's a good way to get busted.
Yeah,
And they go into these areas in a clandestine mode. These fights were over egos and territory. Like, don't come in our territory, not because it has anything to do with narcotics.
Right.
Don't come in our territory. And I didn't say it earlier. I wanted to allude to it earlier, but to be an effective peacemaker, you have to be willing to go to war.
Yeah, I
did learn that.
I really wanted to ask you. George, hold on. Give me just 1 second, because I'm about to piss my pants. All right, give me just 1 second. I apologize.
I got all day, man.
All right, good. Do you need to go to the bathroom? You good? I'm sorry.
I got that jailhouse discipline, man. I don't know where you want to pick it up at. Is after Taco put the hit on me, I went to Chicago and confronted those guys at a meeting.
And what does that entail? You getting on a plane?
Yeah, I got on a plane.
By yourself?
I took one guy with me.
Who do you take with you for that?
I took Josh with me, a young guy. And
why you take Josh?
Because I figured he'd be right there. He was 25, 24, and he reminded me of myself. He thought he was invincible. And, the sad thing about Josh, he got killed later.
Sorry to hear that.
Unsolved. Which is that story. It's a story in itself. But Josh and I, after I found out, man, I was smoking, John. And you can look this up on the internet. It's United States of America versus Harry Taco Bowman, and it's got all the details of they were going to either kill Sonny or me, and they decided to kill me. And for whatever reason, I don't know, I didn't ask Taco. I did talk to Taco after the murder contract, which is also another funny story. But I'll tell you about. I don't know if I'm getting out of sync.
No, you're
here.
perfect. So you go to.
So I get on a plane. I go back to Chicago. We're gonna have a sit down with the Outlaws because we're trying to Taco's now in jail.
What year is this, roughly?
Late '90s. Taco's now in jail. He was on the FBI's, he might have been number one. He was on the top 10 most wanted fugitives. So I go back there, and
you knew he was in Chicago.
I knew that he had been picked up, and he's from Chicago. I knew that it was the Chicago Outlaws, and that Taco had ordered my murder. They had chose to kill me rather than Sonny. So I hear there's a meeting with the Outlaws back east. So I tell my charter, I'm going. Josh goes, I'm going with you, man. So we get on the plane. We go back there, and we go to the meeting, and there's Hells Angels there, and there's Outlaws there, and we're sitting across the table from each other. And I said, I raised my hand. I said, I want to say something, and then I'm going to leave. And I'm usually very